Hello everyone. So today we are going to start with our fourth lecture, Foreign Aid, Blessing or Curse, Evidence from Pakistan. In this lecture, we are going to study that either the foreign aid is a blessing or it's a curse. And how we are going to study? We are going to study it by taking the evidences from like different studies which have been conducted from different articles, from different papers. So we start we start our lecture. The role of foreign aid in promoting economic growth is a debatable issue and remains unsettled at both theoretical and empirical levels. Pakistan has received a sustainable amount of foreign aid since its independence in 1947, but little improvement has been observed in its socio-economic development. This study considered the question as to whether foreign aid is a blessing or a curse for Pakistan. The empirical analysis is based on the ARDL. We examine the aid growth link at the aggregate and disaggregate level for the period of 1972 to 2006. Now we come on the introduction. Foreign aid is an important source of income in developing countries and carries potential to play a key role in promoting economic growth. The traditional literature on economic growth emphasizes the positive role of foreign aid in the process of economic development. Foreign aid influence the process of growth by reducing the saving investment gap, increasing productivity, and transferring the modern technology. However, in the non-classical growth framework, the benefit of foreign capital inflow are the temporary nature. Like many other developing countries, Pakistan has heavily relied on foreign borrowing to finance its economic development. This strategy is increased in independence on external sources. Pakistan has received almost like around 7 73.14 billion US dollar in this form of foreign aid from 1960 to 2002. But the benefit of this aid follows the benefit of this aid flow have not stretched to the whole society, which means that foreign aid has not been totally studied. Foreign capital inflow to developing countries. Foreign aid and foreign private investment are two main sources of capital flows in developing countries. Foreign aids could be categorized into grants and relatively low interest rate loans, while the foreign private investment can be categorized into foreign portfolio investment. Portfolio investment FPI and foreign direct investment which is FDI. Foreign portfolio investment is FPI, and direct and foreign direct investment is FDI. The pattern and trends of such foreign inflows in developing countries have significantly changed during the past 3 decades. Grant type aid to developing countries increased from 1.9 billion US dollar to 19 in 1970 to 52.6 billion dollars in 2005. This increase is, however, modest when compared with expansion in FDI and FPI. FDI flows increased from $2.2 billion in 1970 and 1970 to 237.5 in 2015. Similarly, FPI, which is $2.8 billion in 1990, reaches to $61.4 billion in 2005, while aid in the form of grant increases from 1.9 billion US dollars in 1970 to 5.26 billion dollars in 2015. Foreign aid has been an important source of capital inflow for developing countries during 1960s, 1970s, and 1980s. After the end of Cold War, the strategy the strategic country the strategic importance of foreign aid has declined in 1990s, although the number of donor agencies has increased from 7 to 50 from 1960 to 1990. And there is no doubt that foreign aid helps to promote economic growth and infrastructure of recipient countries, particularly at the time of natural disaster. However, literature suggests that the impact of foreign aid on economic development is rather limited because foreign aid is usually directed towards military and political fields instead of socio-economic fields. On other hand, the conditional the conditions imposed by the donor agencies may constrain on the autonomous policies the recipient countries may like to pursue. Many empirical studies suggested that the foreign aid has not contributed profoundly to the economic growth and development of recipient country, and it has tendency towards increasing inequality among different groups. Moreover, foreign aid hurts rather than helps the poor. It goes to the rulers whose whose spending political policies and determined by their own, you can say that, personal and political interests, among which the position of the poor has has been, you can say, in a very low priority. We are going to study the history of foreign aid in Pakistan. Foreign aid foreign aid began to flow into Pakistan soon after the independence. During 1950s, the flow of aid was very small, but in 1960s and 70s, foreign aid remains an important source of capital for Pakistan. Pakistan was one of the largest aid recipient countries in Asia during during this period. For example, Pakistan got foreign aid around 6.6% of the GNP in 1960. The increase in aid was concomitant with the increase in the level of private investment, which rose from 42.55% of total investment in 1959 to 1960 to 53.3% of the total investment in 1969 to 70. During this period, huge investment in the physical infrastructure, power, and irrigation related irrigation-related project was made with the help of foreign aid, which helps to lay down the economic foundation of countries. Mega projects such as Tarbela and Mangla dams were constructed during this period. The time inflow of aid picked up the momentum in early 1970s and remained around 4.2% 4.2% of of the GNP. In 1974 to 1975, the inflow of foreign aid to Pakistan reaches 1.00 billion US dollars mark, and the portion of aid GNP by then had touched 5.5%. Because of the huge inflow of foreign aid, the government launched public investment programs such as roads, electric, electric power, increasing social services, and projects like Indus Superhighway and Pakistan Steel Mill. The increase in aid witnessed in the mid 1970s did not continue for the coming years. However, during 1980s, Pakistan again received a large amount of foreign aid, 4.6% of GNP, because of its frontline role in America Soviet, Soviet Union conflict over Afghanistan. The foreign inflow reaches to 2.0 billion mark per annum by the mid of 1980s, which enhanced the credit worth, worthiness of Pakistan. Real output and aggregate foreign aid. The estimation of the equation with the total aid suggests that in the long run, foreign aid direct invest to GDP, investment to GDP, labor, labor force, and real value of export exert positive and scientific impact on real GDP. The coefficient of foreign aid to GDP is insignificant with negative coefficient in the long run as well as in the short run. The negative and insignificant impact of foreign aid on output suggests that economic growth is independent of foreign aid in case of Pakistan. This raises many serious issues regarding its justification. The reason could be that the most developing countries, including Pakistan, foreign aid is fungible in fungible and is diverted to public consumption. Another reason may be that foreign aid is channeled through channeled through public sector and is is utilized to finance the non-development expenditures. Moreover, when foreign capital inflow into the public sector are increased, some resources are diverted from development projects to non-development projects. This diversion of resources may offset a positive impact of foreign aid on growth. The results suggest that the economic policies regarding aid utilization are not appropriate, or perhaps aid inflows have has distorted microeconomic incentives in Pakistan. Real output, project aid and non-project aid. The result with project aid and non-project aid show that project aid exerts positive and non-project aid exert negative and significant impact on real output, both in the long run and in the short run. However, the magnitude of both the variable is very small and negligible. This implies that projects and non-project components of foreign aid may not effectively promote economic growth. The possible reason could be that the aid flows are, are in practice translated into government consumption. The other variables such as labor, FDI, and export play significant role in enhancing real output in long run as well as short run. However, the all-over impact of labor force growth in the short run is negative and significant. The coefficient of total investment share is insignificant in both the long run and short run. Among export and FDI, the relative impact of real export is larger than FDI in long run. These results these results confirm the hypothesis that export of FDI are the main external sources of growth rather than that foreign aid. The dumpy variable introduced to capture political instability is also negative and insignificant, indicating the adverse effect on output of both in the long run and in the short run. The error correction term is negative and significant, indicates that about 34% of previous period deviation in real output is eliminated in the current period to keep real GDP as steady state level. Real output and project aid. The relationship between project aid and real output is negative and significant and insignificant, both in long run and short run. This implies that Pakistan project aid is fungible. The amount of money granted for a particular project by the donor are transferred to finance social and other non-development expenditures. Our results confirm the earlier findings that foreign capital inflows have negative impact on development expenditure. This strengthens the idea that how resources are transferred from development projects to non-development expenditures. When foreign aid is increased, hence the project aid exerts negative and insignificant impact on domestic production. Our results also confirms the result of obtained that in the case of Pakistan, the project aid is fungible and this may have been channeled to finance government and it has been challenged to finance government consumption. In long run labor force, domestic investment FDI and real export exert positive and significant impact on real output. In short run and external financial resources such as FDI and export to exert positive and insignificant impact on domestic productivity. Domestic investment in is insignificant while labor force exerts negative and significant impact on growth. The relative effect of export is larger than that of FDI. The findings imply that to reduce dependence of the foreign aid, the government may concentrate on boosting the exports sector and create enabling environment to attract foreign investment. The error correction term is again negative and highly significant. The coefficient on the term indicates that around 41% of the past deviation are eliminated to the current period. Output and non-project aid. Non-project aid is significant and negatively related to real output of both the long run and short run. The findings suggest that non-project aid fails to produce any significant impact on economic growth. The size of coefficient and non-project aid is very small, indicating negligible effect on growth in the long run and short run. The reason could be the use of non-project aid to finance government consumption, therefore, it does not contribute to growth. Other variables are significant and possess expected positive coefficient in the long run. In the short run, FDI and exports are positively correlated to growth while domestic investment remains insignificant and labor force influence growth negatively. A positive coefficient of FDI and export and export supports the argument that to reduce age dependency on export sector and FDI may need special attention. The coefficient of dumpy variable introduced to the amount of political instability is negative and insignificant, indicating negative impact of political instability on growth in long run and short run. The error correction term is 0.43 and statistically significant with which indicates that 43% of the past deviation are corrected in the current period.